Greece Travel Guide. Know before you go, including our actual expenses.
The Parthenon in Athens left us in awe. The sunsets in Santorini melted our hearts. The traditional villages of Paros made us feel like we were living in a painting. We'll help you plan your trip to Greece so you can make memories of a lifetime without making common mistakes.
We'll inform you about which neighborhoods and towns are best for tourists, which months are ideal, how to dress, which Greek islands to choose,
how to get around by plane, ferry, taxi, and buses.
We'll talk about tipping culture, where you can and cannot drink the water, which electrical plugs you need,
where they accept credit cards and where they don't, our insider tips for maximizing your trip to the Acropolis and Parthenon, including our secret sunset spot,
tourist visa information,
and of course, incredible restaurant recommendations based on our personal experience. We're Scott and Maddie with Touchdown Money Travel. We slow travel the world while making money online. Let's start with the main attraction of Greece.
The Acropolis and Parthenon. The Acropolis is the ancient citadel sitting upon the highest hill in Athens, and inside it is the Parthenon, a symbol of democracy and a masterpiece of Greek architecture.
Yeah, I thought it'd be boring too, but it's amazing in real life. Besides the 2,500 years of history and wars and temple to the Greek goddess Athena, the entire place is strikingly beautiful, especially at sunset. So that's our biggest tip. If you can, get your ticket in advance for the final hour before sunset.
It was so beautiful. We paid $34.46 each and booked on the official Hellenic Heritage website. If you don't buy your ticket online and in advance, you risk waiting outside in a very long line. In the summer, this could get very hot and uncomfortable. If you'd like a guided tour to explain the cultural significance and history of the Acropolis and each structure, we've linked to a highly rated one in the description and put a QR code on the screen. I've always wanted to see the Parthenon, and it definitely lives up to the hype in real life.
Here's a tip for a stunning free view of the Parthenon. Go to Areopagus Hill before sunset. It's incredible. Then when the sun is down, the show continues. Turn around to see the Parthenon lit up at night.
This was a highlight of our trip to Greece, and a moment in time we'll always treasure.
For a memorable meal with a view of the Parthenon, we indulged in fine dining at Point A.
We paid $10.91 for a glass of wine and $31.01 for the pork cheek, which we shared.
Coming up, we'll warn you about taxis in Greece and why we took ferries instead of planes. But first, let's cover the basics.
When to go. Greek islands such as Santorini and Mykonos are busiest during June, July, and August. This means more crowds, higher prices, and higher temperatures. But this shouldn't stop you from going if this is your dream trip. You can save a bit of money and cut the crowds significantly by booking your trip during the shoulder season, which is April, May, September, or October. You might find some of the Greek islands too chilly in November, December, January, and February, and some restaurants and attractions close. We visited Athens and the islands of Santorini and Paros in late September and stayed through the end of October. We loved that the weather was mostly dry and the days were warm but not oppressively hot. At night, we felt comfortable in long pants and shirts. How to get to Greece.
Most of you will fly into Athens. We flew from Newark, which is in the New York City area, non-stop to Athens in business class on Emirates Airlines using points. We link to our flight review video in the description. You can also fly non-stop to Athens from New York JFK, Washington Dulles, Atlanta, Chicago, Philadelphia, Dallas, Montreal, Toronto, London, Rome, Paris, and many more.
How to get around Greece.
You can fly from Athens to the island you want to visit and from island to island.
However, we opted to take ferries. The reason is because the ferries are cheaper and more comfortable. You don't have to commute to the airport, go through security, or check your bags. We took the Seajet Champion 2 ferry from Athens to the island of Paros. It cost $68.62 per person. Travel time was 3 hours and 50 minutes. We booked our ferries on the Ferry Hopper app. The only downside was that you can't pick your seats with the cheapest economy fare. This ferry was crowded but clean. We took Dramamine for motion sickness, but the ride was pretty smooth. Then we took the Blue Star Delos ferry from Paros to Santorini. It cost $37.92 per person. Travel time was 3 hours and 15 minutes. This ferry was one of the largest ferries we've ever been on or seen. The ride was very smooth. It looked similar to a small cruise ship. The seating in the lowest economy fare wasn't assigned, but each area was separated by cabin class. It had more of a mall or cafeteria vibe. And finally, we booked the Seajet Euro Champion Jet ferry from Santorini back to Athens. This costs $80.11 per person. Travel time was 5 hours and 40 minutes. This ferry was crowded and the smallest of the 3 ferries that we took. It only had a small cafeteria on board, so the food options were limited, but it was plenty for us. We got lucky and were given handicap seats, which meant we had extra legroom.
Getting around by taxi was not fun. Uber isn't really a thing. Instead, the Uber app connects you to taxi drivers. Here was our experience with taxis.
Inside every taxi, there's a sign that clearly states the taxi driver must use the meter and give you a receipt.
Well, our taxi driver who took us from the Athens airport to our hotel charged us 10 euros more than the fare on the meter. I was too tired to argue, so I let that be the tip. Before we got into the taxi, I asked him what the price would be, and his price of 45 euros was in the range of what he promised, and the meter said 35, so fine. On both the islands of Paros and Santorini, it seemed to cost 40 euros, about $46, to get into a taxi, no matter the destination, according to the Uber app. The route from the ferry to our hotel in Paros was up a very steep hill, so I gladly traded the 40 euros instead of trying to haul all our luggage. But coming back down the hill with luggage was easier, so we opted for the public bus instead.
It's a comfortable coach bus with plenty of space for luggage, and it only costs $2.30 per person. There weren't many stops, so it took about the same time as a taxi, which was 20 to 25 minutes.
In Athens, we found it was darn near impossible for us to get a taxi through the Uber app at the price listed. No taxis would take us from the ferry port or even a block away from the ferry port to the popular neighborhood of Plaka for the listed price of 15 euros.
The Uber app kept saying, "Looking for a driver," and then drivers would cancel. This was frustrating.
So it turns out taxis don't feel like driving you for that price. Instead, we pulled our luggage right outside the port area and a taxi driver approached us. We settled on 30 euros total, no tip. He gladly took us and helped with luggage. He didn't use the taxi meter. I paid him by credit card through an app on his phone. This all seems very professional. So if you want to arrange transportation ahead of time, that would be the most convenient way to do it. Coming up, my favorite part of traveling, the local food. But first,
which islands to see itinerary.
We did a ton of research about which islands to see. We wanted the experience of a famous, lively island like Santorini, and to contrast that to a lesser known but still tourist-friendly destination like Paros. We've linked to our video about Santorini in the description. It's beautiful and worth the trip. It's expensive, and it's a bit too touristy for our tastes, but we made lifelong memories.
We're happy we went.
The island of Paros had a more chill vibe.
We enjoyed the beach in Paros. We went to the Rada Beach Club, which is part of the Cove Hotel. We rented comfortable lounge chairs and towels for $23.08 each. We ordered food and drinks from the adjoining restaurant. We spent $101.57 on the 2 sunbeds, 2 glasses of wine, 1 shot of rum, 1 fruit smoothie, and a salmon poke bowl.
So yeah, Paros is also expensive.
We also considered visiting the islands of Milos and Naxos. We've heard Crete is amazing and warrants its own separate trip. We skipped Mykonos because we're usually slow travelers and we want to settle into each place for at least a week or more. We began our trip with 2 days in Athens, 11 days in Paros, 12 days in Santorini, and then 5 more days in Athens before flying back to the US. If we could do it again, we'd probably stay longer in Athens and less time in Santorini. We loved Santorini, but for us, we only needed 2 to 4 days of it.
And there is so much to explore in Athens. The key is to stay in the right neighborhood.
Where to stay in Greece.
In Athens, the first neighborhood we stayed in, called Kalatheia, looked like it had been bombed.
Everyone there was kind and we had delicious gyros for a cheap price. But there wasn't much within walking distance of our hotel. It looked like most people stayed at the Hilton Garden Inn Athens Segro Avenue Hotel because it offers pretty easy access to the ferry port on your way to the islands. The hotel itself was clean and modern, but the rooms felt cramped. It also had a pretty rooftop pool, but we didn't get to use it due to rain and cold weather. But we absolutely loved the neighborhood of Plaka. We're all about outstanding restaurants and walkability, and Plaka has it. We walked to the Acropolis to see the Parthenon, we walked to explore,
and we had amazing food in Plaka.
We highly recommend the apartment we stayed in. We've stayed in apartments all over the world, and we'd rank this one as number 1 or number 2 as far as short-term rental apartments go.
In Santorini, we preferred staying in the town of Fira because there was more for us to do and more nightlife. But staying in the town of Ia is very beautiful if you get an apartment with a view.
In Fira, we recommend the hotel we stayed in. You can support our channel at no extra cost to you by booking with the link in the description or with the QR code on your screen.
In Ia, we do not recommend the hotel we stayed in, so we won't link to it. Instead, we've linked to another hotel in Ia that looked good to us when we were in town.
Must try foods.
Baklava! This flaky, buttery, layered pastry with chopped pistachios is soaked in honey and manna from heaven. This is a dessert you've probably tried before, but haven't truly tasted yet until you've tried it in Greece. Okay, the famous Greek delicacy of baklava. It's very flaky. Sticky to start, crunchy, sticky, layers. Holy moly. Wow. It's like that Greek honey that you really like, and flaky. Or that pistachio. This is insanely good. I've had a lot of baklava. Holy. Amazing.
We enjoyed delectable baklava at Soveronos Bakery in Santorini. Our second favorite baklava was at the Alchemist Bakery in Athens. We paid about $5 per piece.
Moussaka is like Greek lasagna. Your fork will glide through layers of delicate baked eggplant, and you'll taste minced meat and a creamy dairy sauce called bechamel.
I think it kind of tastes like a cheeseburger.
We went mad for the melt-in-your-mouth moussaka at Leondi in the Makrogiani neighborhood of Athens, where we paid $17.20.
Also, try the Freddo cappuccinos. This is Greek iced coffee with shaken espresso, poured over ice, and topped with fluffy, foamy milk. I really liked it at Canale in Nausa, Paros. It cost $3.46.
I'm usually not a fish person besides salmon, but even I went crazy for the light, fluffy Bronzino sea bass we had at No Name Grill restaurant in Fira, Santorini.
The sea bass was priced at $30.01.
In general, we recommend eating fresh seafood while in the Greek islands and eating meat while in Athens. Grab an gyro while in Greece. We love the kebabs and gyros at Pita Gyros, traditional grill house in Ia, Santorini, and at Pitagram in Fira, Santorini. Expect to pay about $6 per gyro.
But our favorite dish is Greek-style braised lamb shank.
For lamb shank that melts off the bone, go to Pelican Kipos in Fira, Santorini for $27.96.
How to pay. We were able to use credit cards nearly everywhere in Greece, with the exception of self-service laundromats and the buses in Santorini and Paros.
You gotta bring cash if you want to wash your underwear in Santorini. Remember to use a credit card that does not charge a nasty foreign transaction fee. Otherwise, you'll be paying an extra 3% every time for no reason, and that adds up. We have links to good credit cards in the description.
Tipping.
Tipping isn't a big part of the culture in Greece, but in tourist areas, they did ask us if we wanted to add it. We didn't and never had a problem. In fact, we returned to a wonderful restaurant called Leondi in Athens where we didn't tip, and the waiter remembered us, smiled, and happily welcomed us back. He even gave us free dessert at the end of the meal.
We had a similar experience at a restaurant in Santorini called Eris. It has a gorgeous view of the sea and caldera. Visas.
Citizens of many countries, including the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, can stay in Greece for up to 90 days within a 180-day period without a visa.
Electrical plugs.
Get yourself an adapter if you're coming from outside of Europe because you can't directly plug in your US devices. We've linked to a nifty one in the description. Also, do not bring any devices that can only handle 110 volts because you will melt them in European outlets. I know, because I've done it. If your device says it can handle up to 220 volts, it's good to go. You can check on the device itself. Your computers and phones are almost definitely safe. We charged our Apple products by using a simple adapter. 3 examples of electronics we couldn't bring with us to Greece are a heating pad that was 110 volts, a blow dryer, and a clothes steamer. So you need to buy 220 volt versions of items like that.
Health. You can drink the water in Athens and Paros, but you cannot drink the water in Santorini or Mykonos. so research your destination before you go. I brought my filtered water bottle. It saved us money and time not having to buy as much bottled water. We've linked to it in the description.
If you have trouble walking, consider that Athens has steep hills, and Paros doesn't really believe in sidewalks. We felt safe walking, but it's probably better to use a vehicle when going long distances. We walked to the supermarket and there wasn't a crosswalk, and we walked to the beach club and had to walk on the side of the highway.
Santorini has lots of steps and can be steep. Also, the sun can be intense in the middle of the day, especially in summer. Plan to bring or buy sunscreen. I got bitten by mosquitoes in Athens and Paros, so bring bug spray or bug bracelets. We like to wear these natural bug repellent bracelets that we'll link to in the description. What to wear? Many tourists wore blue and white on the Greek islands. Locals, not so much. In the summer, it's hot, so dress appropriately. Remember, if you enter a church, be respectful and dress modestly.
For the Lord hath already seen you naked. He don't need all that.
Let's talk about footwear. These days, tourists wear sneakers everywhere. We wore either comfortable dress shoes or tennis shoes.
You'll encounter painfully cute cobblestone streets and slick marble, so be sure your shoes have cushion and grip.
Even in October, Greece was pretty hot in the sun during the day, though it can get chilly in the shadows or when it's cloudy. To give you an idea, Santorini summers have highs in the 80s and lows in the 70s. Santorini rarely gets temperatures much below 50 degrees, even in the winter. Summer in Athens can get into the low 90s, but the temperature can drop into the mid 70s or even below at night.
If you found our video helpful, please say thank you by clicking like, writing us a comment, and subscribing.